The uniform still hung on the back of the bedroom door. Too big to fit anyone else in the house, too full of silence to be moved. Lily stood in the hallway, bare feet cold against the wooden floor. In her hands her father's police badge. She'd started sleeping with it under her pillow. Not because it brought comfort, but because it made the nightmares stop. Downstairs, voices murmured, lawyers, police officials. People who talked too fast and looked at her too softly. She hated it. They brought cookies and silence. They brought paperwork, and one paper said this: K9 unit, Rex, service complete, scheduled for auction. Public listing to begin next month. Lily read it even though they thought she couldn't. She wasn't dumb. She was 6, and Rex wasn't just a K9 unit. He was her dad's partner, his best friend. And after the funeral, he was the only one who didn't flinch when she cried. Rex had laid under the porch for 3 days straight. Didn't eat, didn't bark, just waited for a voice that would never come home again. Lily crawled under the porch with him once, laid her head on his back. Whispered, "I miss him too." He didn't move. But his tail thumped once slow, steady. As if to say, "I know, I'm still here." Now they were trying to sell him, like an object. Like he hadn't slept outside her door every night since the funeral. Like he hadn't stayed when everyone else left. Lily looked at the paper again. Her lip trembled. Then, quietly, with all the fire her tiny chest could hold, she said, "He's not for sale." Before the funeral, Lily believed her dad could stop anything. He stopped bad guys, stopped nightmares, stopped her from falling asleep on the couch by carrying her to bed, boots and all. He wasn't loud, didn't shout like other dads. He had a voice like gravel and honey low, warm and true. And he always smelled like leather, coffee, and Rex. Rex had been part of her life for as long as she could remember. Not just a dog. Not even just a partner. He was family. He waited in the cruiser while her dad picked her up from school. Laid beside her at soccer games. Watched the door when she was sick on the couch. He knew her better than some people did. After her mom left, it was just the 3 of them. Her dad, her, and Rex, and somehow. That was enough, until the call. Her dad didn't come home. They said line of duty. Solid honor, sacrifice, bravery. But all Lily heard was gone. The funeral was full of shiny buttons and speeches. Adults telling her how proud she should be. How strong. She hated the word strong. Strong didn't tuck her in. Strong didn't carry her to bed. Strong didn't chase away the dark. Only one thing did that now, Rex. He didn't leave the side of her bed. He didn't bark. He just stayed. He watched the door, like he was still waiting for the only person he had ever truly obeyed. And now, they were taking him away too. Every morning was the same. Lily would wake before the sun, slip from under her covers, shuffle down the stairs in her mismatched socks. And Rex would be there, waiting at the bottom step. He'd nudge her hand gently. No bark, no whine, just a soft reminder, "I'm here." They would eat breakfast together, her a bowl of cereal, him a few pieces of kibble. Sometimes she would drop a piece of banana or a crust of toast, pretending it was an accident. Rex always caught it midair, his eyes bright for just a second before settling back into his quiet guard. After breakfast, she'd read to him, picture books at first. Then chapter books when the words felt too heavy to carry alone. She'd stumble over the hard ones. Detective, protect-shun. Double quotes. Rex never corrected her. Never got impatient. He just listened. At night, she'd drag her blanket down to the living room, lay on the floor next to him. Sometimes she whispered secrets into his fur. Sometimes she just listened to him breathe. No one told her that dogs could grieve. But Rex did. He grieved beside her. Silent, solid, unmoving. The only thing that changed was the envelope on the kitchen counter. Big, white, official looking. Auction date, May 15th. Rex was scheduled to be sold to the highest bidder. Someone who wouldn't know he hated loud noises. Someone who wouldn't know he slept with one ear tilted toward the door. Someone who wouldn't know he had once carried her dad's badge in his mouth when they folded the flag. Lily stared at that envelope every day. And every day, she made the same silent promise: I won't let them take you. It started with a phone call Lily wasn't supposed to hear. She sat on the staircase, hidden by the railing, fingers clutching Rex's collar. Downstairs, her aunt who had moved in after the funeral paced the living room. No, she doesn't understand, the aunt said. She thinks Rex can just stay because she loves him. She's 6, a pause, a sigh. The auction is state mandated. It's protocol, there's nothing we can do. We can't afford to bid. Another pause, she have to say goodbye. Lily pressed her forehead into Rex's shoulder. He didn't move. He just breathed steady, patient, like he knew. Like he was waiting for her to be ready. But Lily wasn't ready. She would never be ready. That night, after her aunt had gone to bed, Lily pulled out the small box she kept under her bed. 2 crumpled dollar bills, some quarters, a few nickels. 5 pennies, all her savings. She counted it carefully, twice, $3.71. She stared at the coins, willing them to multiply. When they didn't, she closed the box and whispered, "It's okay, we'll find a way." The next day, at school, she asked her teacher, "How much does a dog cost?" The teacher smiled sadly. "More than a piggy bank, honey." Lily nodded, but inside, something sparked. A plan, not just a hope, to fight, because Rex wasn't just a dog, he was hers. And if the world was going to make her prove it, she would. Lily spent the next week trying to save Rex. Her plan wasn't fancy. It was made of crayon drawings and pocket change. She made signs: dog wash, $1. Lemonade -50 inches, pet my dog, free. She set up a stand at the end of her driveway. Rex sat beside her, calm, loyal, steady. He didn't understand the rules of fundraising. Her aunt came outside once, wiping her eyes. "Sweetheart, it's not enough." Lily didn't answer, she just kept pouring lemonade. Because if she stopped moving, if she let the sadness catch her, she was afraid she wouldn't be able to start again. Each night, she counted the money. $8.72, $13.45. $20.00, still not enough, but closer. She drew pictures of Rex and taped them around town. "Best dog ever, needs to stay home, please help." At night, she whispered to Rex, "I'll fix it, I promise." Rex would rest his head on her lap, breathing slow and even. He didn't ask her to fix anything. But she needed to believe she could, for him, for her dad, for the tiny piece of her world she still had left. Then one afternoon, her aunt came home holding a thick letter. Auction details, starting bid, $500. Lily's world tilted. All the lemonade in the world wouldn't be enough. She buried her face in Rex's fur and cried without sound, because sometimes there are battles a little girl can't win with quarters and paper cups. The day before the auction, Lily sat on the front steps with Rex. A cardboard sign lay crumpled beside her. The lemonade stand was closed. The jar was half full. Her heart was half empty. She didn't know what else to do. That's when the old man from down the street stopped. Mr. Harris, retired, former police chief. Known for walking slow, talking slower. He looked at Lily, then at Rex. Then he sat down beside her without asking. For a long time, he didn't say anything. Just scratched Rex behind the ears and watched the sun dip below the rooftops. Finally, he said, "You know, when your daddy got that dog." He wasn't sure he was ready for a partner. Lily wiped her nose on her sleeve. He said Rex was the best decision he ever made. Mr. Harris smiled sadly. He was right. Another long pause. The evening air thickened around them. Then, "You love him, don't you?" Lily nodded hard. "He's all I have left." Mr. Harris nodded slowly. Pulled something from his jacket, an old, battered badge. "When my partner died, I wanted to give up to." He turned the badge over in his hand. "But someone told me, love doesn't end when the job does." He set the badge down beside her jar of coins. "Go get your dog, kid." Lily stared at the badge, at the jar, at Rex, whose golden eyes watched her like he already knew what she would choose. Strength stirred in her small chest. She picked up the jar, the badge, and Rex's leash. Tomorrow wasn't about winning, it was about fighting. And she wasn't fighting alone. The auction was held in the community center gym. Rows of folding chairs, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. Tables stacked with old vests, badges, and retired gear, and at the very front, Rex, leashed to a metal post, sitting straight. Still wearing his canine collar, Lily clutched the jar of coins to her chest. Her aunt held her hand too tightly, but Lily barely noticed. The auctioneer spoke too fast, words blurred together. K9 Unit Rex, 6 years old, fully trained. Opening bid, $500. A man in a suit raised his hand immediately. Another woman in uniform followed. Lily's heart dropped. She pushed through the crowd, dragging her jar with both hands. "Wait," heads turned. The auctioneer blinked. "Sweetheart, this is official business. I want to buy him," Lily shouted. Her voice cracked, but she didn't care. "He's mine. He's my dad's partner." Whispers rippled through the room. The auctioneer hesitated. "Do you have a bid?" Lily stepped forward, trembling, and set her jar on the table. Coins spilled everywhere, quarters, nickels, pennies clattering like tiny thunder. At the top of the pile, Mr. Harris's battered badge gleamed under the fluorescent lights. The room went silent, utterly, painfully silent. The auctioneer cleared his throat. "I'm sorry, miss, but that's not enough." A long, aching pause, then a voice. "I'll cover the difference." Heads turned. Mr. Harris stood at the back, arms crossed. "She's not buying a dog, she's keeping her family." Another voice joined, then another. Uniforms, neighbors, strangers. Pledging $5, $10, $50. The auctioneer tried to keep up. "Oh well, if the total meets the minimum." It did. In less than 3 minutes, it did. The auctioneer cleared his throat again. "Sold to Miss Lily and her partner." Cheers erupted. Someone cried. Rex didn't move. He didn't bark. He just stood up, tail low and wagging, as Lily ran to him. She dropped to her knees, flinging her arms around his neck. "We did it," she whispered into his fur. "We're going home." The ride home was quiet. Lily sat in the back seat, Rex's head resting in her lap. She traced circles in his fur, her fingers memorizing every patch of gold and black. Her aunt kept glancing at her through the rearview mirror. Eyes watery, mouth tight like she was holding in all the words she didn't know how to say. Lily didn't mind the silence. It was the good kind now, the kind that didn't hurt. The kind that said you're safe. When they pulled into the driveway, Lily unbuckled her seatbelt before the car even stopped. She opened the door, grabbed Rex's leash, but he didn't need it. He followed her, right up the porch steps. Through the front door, into the living room where his bed had been waiting, untouched. Rex circled once, sniffed the familiar air, then collapsed under his blanket with a groan that sounded almost like a sigh. Lily curled beside him, not speaking, not moving, just breathing, matching his rhythm. Her aunt stood in the doorway, leaning against the frame. "You did good, kid," she said softly. Lily looked up, her cheek pressed to Rex's side. "We're together, that's all that matters." Later, she pulled her dad's badge from under her pillow, placed it gently between her and Rex, to pieces of her heart, to anchors to a world that had shifted beneath her feet, but hadn't swallowed her whole. Rex licked her hand once, and for the first time in a long time. Lily fell asleep without nightmares. Life didn't go back to the way it was before, but it found a new shape. Every morning, Lily fed Rex before school. 2 scoops of kibble, 1 pat on the head. He waited by the door when she put on her backpack, walked her halfway to the bus stop, watched her climb aboard before trotting back to the porch. At school, things changed too. Teachers smiled a little longer. Kids who used to ignore her started sitting beside her at lunch. Some days were still hard. The grief sneaked up like a shadow. At the sound of sirens, the smell of leather. The silence when she woke up from a dream and reached for someone who wasn't there. But Rex was always there. He learned new routines, waited by her bed when storms shook the windows, sat under her chair when she struggled with homework. He didn't need training anymore. He knew her. Knew how to be her shield when the world felt too big. Knew how to be her anchor when she felt too small. Sometimes Lily would sit on the porch steps, badge in hand, Rex at her side. She would whisper to the stars, "We're okay, Daddy, we're okay." The house didn't feel empty anymore. It felt full, not the same kind of full. Not the noisy, busy full of before. But a quiet, steady full, the kind built on staying. On choosing to love what remained, even when it hurt. Lily wasn't just the girl who lost her dad anymore. She was the girl who fought for her family. The girl who spoke up when it mattered. The girl who stayed. At school, she gave a presentation for Hero Day. Most kids talked about superheroes from comics. About flying, invisibility, laser eyes. Lily stood at the front of the room with Rex sitting patiently beside her. She held up her dad's badge. My hero didn't wear a cape. He wore this. And his best friend wore fur. Some kids laughed gently. Some smiled wide. Some wiped their eyes. Lily didn't shake. She didn't cry. She spoke clearly, with all the strength her tiny body could hold. When she sat down, Rex placed his head in her lap like he understood every word. At home, Lily helped her aunt plant a garden in the backyard. Sunflowers for courage, lavender for peace. Forget-me-nots for love. Rex dug holes with his giant paws, tongue lolling, tail thumping. Lily laughed for the first time in months. Not because everything was okay, not because she didn't miss her dad, but because she had learned something important. Loss didn't mean love ended. It meant you carried it forward. In paw prints, in badges, in gardens, in tiny hands that refused to let go. Some bonds aren't made of blood, or paperwork, or rules. Some bonds are made of staying. When staying is the hardest thing to do, Rex wasn't just a service dog. He wasn't a badge or a number. He was home. He was memory. He was proof that love doesn't disappear when the world tells you to move on. It roots deeper. It grows stronger. It learns how to speak without words. Lily didn't save Rex, and Rex didn't save Lily. They saved each other. Through loss, through grief, through all the moments when it would have been easier to let go. They chose to stay, and in that staying, they built something no auction could sell: family. Because sometimes, family isn't who you're born to. It's who holds your heart when it's too heavy to carry alone. If this story touched you, if you believe that love stays long after the uniforms are folded and the doors are closed, then let it keep moving. Like this video if you know that family isn't always who shares your name, but who shares your heart. Share it with someone who might be carrying a quiet grief and needs to know they're not alone. Subscribe for more true stories of loyalty, second chances, and the silent heroes who never let go. And in the comments, tell us about your Rex. That dog, that friend, that person, the one who stayed. The one who made a home out of their presence, because somewhere out there, someone is still sitting on their front steps, clutching a jar of hope, waiting to believe that love is worth fighting for. Let this story be their proof. And remember, not all heroes wear badges. Not all auctions sell what matters most. And not all endings are goodbyes. Some endings are just beginnings.